Are people ready to trust AI completely for their wealth? And should they be ready to trust AI
Mm-hmm.
completely for their
Mm-hmm.
wealth? Is a question that we have bounced back and forth again and again. Something that we realized during the journey is that a human in the loop is absolutely necessary. If you keep a human in the loop, they build that relationship with the client. They understand wholly what that client really needs, really prefers, and the way they think about their money. And that human then goes back and puts into the AI model so that they don't have to do a lot of onboarding and tasks around it, and they just get the results which they can present to their clients. So having that human in the loop has definitely helped us serve our clients much better, and that has unlocked a trust and b peace of mind.
How do you strike the perfect balance between AI precision and human intuition?
It's an interesting question. What we try and do is like strategy planning and how your money should be allocated in bonds, ETFs, and stocks, and crypto, and for different buckets, how you should be thinking about wealth building, capital preservation. We try to keep that human.
Hello again. Welcome to 10x AI, the show where we explore how AI doesn't replace people, it amplifies them. I'm your host, Julius Neil, and I'm here with Priyanshi Gupta. She is the founder of Alphanso. So, Priyanshi, can you introduce yourself to our viewers and listeners?
Sure, Julius. Thanks for inviting. I'm Priyanshi. I have 10 years of product management experience. I am currently the co-founder of Alphanso Wealth. It's an AI wealth management platform. I have spent 10 years specializing in AI and understanding its implication in distributed systems. And now I am bringing that knowledge into managing wealth, which is a distributed system in itself, and trying to bring order in the chaos of money that you hold. So we help people with taxes, investments, estate, all of that. And I'm very excited to be here on the show. Thank you for inviting.
Yeah, it's a very different take when it comes to AI. So most people now are getting into the AI agents, and how AI automation. So you went into the wealth management. So what personal experience or insights sparked the idea behind Alfonso?
Yes, of course. First of all, I look at AI not just as a tool, but as a problem solver. So this
Okay.
was a problem that we saw is deep and very close to a lot of people. Money is something that you think about day in, day out. And hence we decided to build our own machine learning systems and use LLM parsing to solve this specific problem. And the reason also runs very deeply. I was working in a company, great company, DataDog, and they went IPO. And I had like all these questions around RSUs,
Okay.
options, and
Okay.
AMT, and where do I get like money for taxes and all that. And I could not find a good answer without opening another account with an advisor and getting them to help me. I already had 8 accounts. Opening another one did not make sense. So there is this problem in the industry wherein people are not able to get advice unless they open another account, make transfers, relinquish control, which is the gap we've found out. And we're building it for multiple more PMs and engineers like me so they can get effective advice on their wealth.
So basically your platform is mostly for the consumers. Do you also have a platform for the businesses that they can use
So
also the insights that you're getting from the consumers?
we're trying to solve the problem directly for the consumers so they can come in and get advisory on their wealth systems end to end. It works for them. We do have advisors on the board who can use the system to provide quality advisory to our clients, but we don't serve businesses directly.
Okay, okay. So what separates Alfonso from the competition right now?
Well, if you look at the competition, the underlying thing is that you open up accounts, you relinquish control.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the market today, 90% of wealth advisors will ask you to pay a percentage AUM, transfer assets to them, and have a black box where you don't know what's happening with your money. That's something that did not resonate with me and does not resonate with hundreds of like millennials I have talked to. And that's what differentiates us. We give the control back to the client. It's up to them how what they pay based on a subscription. The complexity of their case decides how much they want to pay. They can go up and down. They do not have to relinquish control. Their money stays wherever it is, and we provide advisory on top of it. You already have your Robinhoods, your Schwab, your Fidelity. Every employer has an equity account. You don't need to transfer all of this in one. It's a major trust burden that we have offloaded by taking this leap. And finally, you still get an advisor who has a complete view of your assets because you're not
Okay.
transferring a part of your assets. You're just giving them access to your data. So the advisory is much more powerful. And that's the shift that we have seen in mindset of millennials, where they want to collaborate, where they want to be involved in the decisions that is being made on their wealth, which is something Alfonso helps with.
Okay. So you're saying that most of your audience or your clients are mostly millennials, right?
Yeah, that's what we're targeting at the moment the most.
So what is you think what is the end barriers to entry for for barriers to usage for different for example the boomers or Gen X using your platform?
Well, there is no barrier to entry. The reason to choose that was twofold. One, usually millennials are the ones who are making money now, like the new wealth, and looking for help around that. The baby boomers and Gen X still are served already by their existing banks, by their existing advisors, or their father's advisors. This is a generation that's actively in the market looking for advisory. And the second reason is this is the age where things change a lot. You buy houses, you get married, you have kids, and you're getting RSUs, you're switching jobs. You are in this period of your life, you're still making decisions on a more recurrent basis. And that's when you seek advisory. You seek simplified advisory where you can brainstorm, collaborate with someone, and build your own life with them the way you'd want to. So that's a niche where we have found the most love, and that's why we're starting to serve with millennials.
So for example, I'm a client. I'm a millennial client right now. So I'm going to access your services right now. So for the viewers and the listeners right now, how do you would you describe the dashboard? What do they see first when they log in?
Yeah, and FYI, I love demoing our dashboard. So
Uh-huh.
at any point you want to come in and see a live demo,
hmm
a free trial, anything,
hmm
no strings attached, would love your feedback.
Because I
Having said
really love
that,
dashboards too, seeing all those, all those widgets and all those information. So I like to know how would you, articulate that to our audience right now.
yeah, it's interesting that you asked that. I have grown up at DataDog building dashboards. So we have always looked at distributed systems and how to find anomalies in those systems and represent them in dashboard. And AI has even further facilitated building dashboard. You can build dashboards in real time, and data and access to complete data is transformational because the type of dashboarding and different type of visualizations you can do is immense now, and
Yeah.
we're leveraging the same. So we don't ask people to transfer wealth, we ask them for data access. And most of our clients, 90% of our clients, connect 100% of their wealth, which is their 401k, their IRA, their checking, savings, their brokerage bank. What that data empowers us to do is beautiful dashboards. The way they can look at their money on how much it's distributed towards retirement, health, insurance, how much they are spending in stocks, individual equity, index funds, crypto, all that breakdown, what their net worth looks like, what it is projected to look like with Monte Carlo simulations. That's like
Okay.
one part of the system. And then the second part of the system where we look at the market. And if you own a meta stock and it goes down by 2%, how much does that impact your portfolio? Should you hold on to further meta stock or should you sell or buy it? All of this in beautiful dashboards. So you can make decisions clearly on whether I should take the step or not, and why do you think I should sell, and how much do you think I should sell? Then control is yours, whether you want to do that or not.
It's a very interesting take when it comes to accessible wealth management that you don't have to transfer all the money. All you have to do is just log in there and just check, your investment portfolio. So, how do you define accessible wealth management, and why do you think it's still rare today?
Yeah, I mean, wealth management has been accessible to the elitist, and
Okay.
everyone pays taxes, everyone understands equity. We don't live in a stage where data is siloed. Data is, in fact, abundant at the moment. There was a time when information about a company was only accessible to a select few advisors, which held tight onto that information and could influence the market. Flash forward to 2025. Data is abundant. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
has access to that information, and people are showing more and more interest in equity, in stocks, in cryptos, in understanding how wealth moves. On the other side, even companies have changed their compensation model. People don't get simple W 2s, they get RSUs, ESPP, they have to pay AMT. Taxes and investments have completely evolved the way compensation works. And the combination of this two has led to a generation wherein you think about money in a whole different manner. People are investing in real estate, but not as much as their boomers or parents' generation did. They think about stock investment as a primary thing to, do with their money. So there has been a fundamental shift, and it's very important to guide this audience on what is the best way to do that and to guide them in a way that feels collaborative, that does not feel as if coming from a siloed place. So, as long as there is a disconnect between the wealthy and wealth, and if you're not able to understand the two as an advisor, you'll not be able to serve them the way they want.
Okay, so why do you think there's a shift from this generation now that they wanted mostly stocks instead of some liquid assets or cash or some sorry real estate? Why do you think there's a
Yeah,
shift?
growing up, like I always saw my parents think about real estate as an important investment. It is something that you know, survey a lot, but it's also very illiquid. It cannot move a lot. Like, you put your money and then it's logged in for X number of years. We also saw people, my parents, like do CDs. Like, this is my safe sort of investment, which will keep earning me a specific amount of return. However, what I have grown up with is completely different. When I was not even aware of like the way stocks work, I started working in tech companies. All of these companies exposed me to equity as a part of my wage itself. So I had to understand the history and future forecast of Google, Meta, and Datadog, and how are these companies projected to be. They were impacting me day to day much more than what they did my parents. And it's also very interesting, right? We are a generation that has grown up with personalization, with subscription, with access to internet. So the way we look at money, so the way we look at investments is also at core different. We will bet on the founder. We will bet on the story. We will bet on the type of companies that we feel relatable with. We have our own personal biases and behavioral biases. I am a human capital working in Meta. I will keep a certain amount of Meta stocks just because I believe in the company too. So the relationship has completely changed because how times have evolved, and advisory definitely needs to evolve with time to support this new generation.
Yeah. So, for example, based on the data that you're gathering, are there some correlations between, for example, for crypto and then the forex? So, if crypto goes up, for example, the forex goes down, and real estate goes up, and then this, for example, some tech stocks goes up or goes down. Is there a correlation that you can see that you can at least some subjectivity when it comes to okay, based on your experience, but not conclusively that if this units increase and then the other one decreases. Do you
Yep.
do you see something like that?
Yep. I mean, honestly, the way we look at wealth is long term.
Mm.
So we're not betting on short term arbitrage opportunities. And every dollar has a different meaning. Yes, some amount of your wealth you will invest in cryptos. Some amount of your wealth you want to get quick money with. But the overall picture, you will not bet your 4K on a crypto. Most people don't. The way you look at different aspects of wealth is very different. And hence, when I say that people connect all of their data, we use AI to look at them in different lenses. What are the goals that you want to achieve with this money versus that money? Is this something that you're putting around to buy your house? What age you're at? How much risk are you likely to take? Those are the aspects we look at. And then on the market side, we look at fundamentals. Yes, the CEO announced something on Twitter, the company went down. Is it going to impact the fundamentals of this company on how it looks like 6 months, 1 year, 5 years from now? That's the thing that we're betting on the most. And if we want people to be able to take more risk, more frequencies, our models definitely modulate to give that amount of information that, yes, if you are in your 20s trying to take more risk in this specific amount of money, this is how your allocation should look like. This is how much you can do in private equity and crypto, and how you should be. We will never ask them to look at all of their wealth in the same way and have different types of risk in different types of buckets that they hold in their like wealth accounts.
So, for example, how is your system managing the financial risk management? For example, you have this technical analysis that is going up, and then of course there's some fundamentals or news coming from different media channels that would that would actually affect the technical analysis of the, for example, certain stocks. So how is your wealth management platform use AI to be able to to give the information at least to your clients?
It's a complicated topic. The most simply I can put it is that stock prediction is a very hard problem to solve. It's very hard to predict what Netflix stock value would be tomorrow, 6 months, or 1 year. However, a rather simpler problem to solve is stock ranking. If you are to compare Netflix with Google or Microsoft with Meta, there are more judgments that you can make on whether the stock is going to go up or down. What impacts will the fundamentals and technicals of this company going to make about its projections in the future? So that ranking is what we're solving for. We have a great team of machine learning engineers having spent most of their career building search and recommendation systems for social media companies like Snap, Meta, and stuff.
Mhm.
So from there, we're bringing in that knowledge of how do you rank A versus B, and how do you put them all together, and how do you look at past 30 years of their, you know, back testing results, how of their back performance, and project that for the future. So that's what our models look at differently. The other thing is, how do you understand aspects of machine learning? And that's very important, as I think that's where AI is going to head and be really transformational. Vertical applications of AI and its capabilities into transforming industries. So, for example, there's a concept of embeddings, wherein what you're doing is putting every stock in a 128-bit dimensional space and trying to see which other stock performs closely. For Meta, it could be another very close stock like Google, or it can be an oil and gas industry stock that is performing the same way. So, how do you use something like embeddings and put that into tax loss harvesting?
Mhm.
The client wants to keep exposure to this industry, this specific domain, but they also want to replace the stock to or harvest their losses that they had in that specific company. So, those are some things that we find its direct implication in. We do direct indexing, we do tax loss harvesting, using all of these intelligence and try to find gaps in user portfolios where they keep similar risk, similar exposure, their behavioral biases, but still win in financial planning.
Okay, so based on the on your experience, like in your platform, you already have these tools on when your clients wanted to decide, or when the clients wanted to get a support, feel a personal support, a real person support. So how does that onboarding goes? Like for example, from step phase one, phase two, until when are they being individual when it comes to decision making, and where is that barrier? Where is that demarcation that okay, we will need to have some support from your side.
Yeah, and it's an excellent question because are people ready to trust AI completely for their wealth? And should they be ready to trust AI
Mhm,
completely for their
mhm.
wealth? Is a question that we have bounced back and forth again and again. While building our AI models, we have tried to keep in mind the guardrails, the planning, and proactive feedback from a human to keep them something that's honest and reliable for the end client. Having said that, something that we realized during the journey is that a human in the loop is absolutely necessary. If you keep a human in the loop, they build that relationship with the client. They understand wholly what that client really needs, really prefers, and the way they think about their money. And that human then goes back and puts in into the AI model so that they, as an advisor, they don't have to do a lot of onboarding and tasks around it, and they just get the results which they can present to their clients. So having that human in the loop has definitely helped us serve our clients much better, and that has unlocked a trust and b peace of mind. Once
Mm-hmm.
you have a human in the loop, then you're like, okay, I get my tax advice from this person, I get my investment advice from this person, I'll do estate planning with them, I'll buy the right insurance from them, because you know that this person has complete access to my wealth and is a fiduciary, thinking about me, keeping my best interest on mind, and is not after getting a percentage AUM on my assets. I will pay for what I need, and this person is someone I can trust. And that's something that we have realized over time, that AI can do a lot of things, but human trust and that human relationships and that, just being able to brainstorm or talk to a person is
Mm-hmm.
is part of like core human nature that seems
Yeah.
irreplaceable.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
asked about like the onboarding
Yeah.
on the platform. Basically, the way it works is we have a 14 days free trial. So you come in, you connect your accounts, and you set up a call with that human in the loop, our advisory team, free of cost. You brainstorm and understand how broken your current portfolio is. And if you feel the ROI of what the system and the person is going to do for you justifies, then you go ahead and pay on the 15th day. After that,
Okay.
you get X number of calls depending on the complexity of your needs with the advisor. And the platform will always like share with you what you discussed with the advisor, your advisor notes, and what you should buy, what you should sell, all the recommendations in what quantity, what price, and why, what the fundamentals of this company say, and what the technicals say, and how confident we are in giving you a recommendation around that. It's our tax aware, it's investment aware. So you have everything in the platform and you can always like track that and understand, but you still have a human who will walk you through different things and be accountable for if anything changes in your plan or your life to update the systems.
Will there be, as a client, will there be a tier support? Like for example, if it is a tier one, tier three support, it will be whoever is available in your team. And then if there's a very special premium support that I will have Priyanshi, for example, for the rest of my stay in Alfonso, you will be my advisor. Is there something
Yeah,
like that in your service?
yeah, advisor attrition is something that a number of companies and advisory firms suffer with. And we have tried to keep a dedicated advisor model
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't change your CPA or your CFP. In fact, what we do is your dedicated advisor in turn has a team of people, for example, CPAs, CFPs, insurance agents, who they will consult and get you the answer for. So you are just talking to one person and like sharing something with them and building that trust and relationship. It doesn't shuffle in and out.
Yeah, yeah. So we're talking about now a while ago about AI and then the human in the loop. So your model combines machine learning with 25 years of financial advisor experience. So how do you strike the perfect balance between AI precision and human intuition? Okay, so how do you strike the perfect balance between AI precision and human intuition?
It's an interesting question. What we try and do is like strategy planning and how your money should be allocated in bonds, ETFs, and stocks and crypto, and for different buckets, how you should be thinking about wealth building, capital preservation. We try to keep that human. We have humans build out the rule based system that apply to different buckets of wealth for you. On the other side, things which can be automated with AI, like thinking about tax loss harvesting, understanding the tax rules, and Roth contributions, backdoor, mega backdoor Roth. We try and do that with AI. All of it, our end goal is to be able to automate as much as possible. So the advisor is spending as much time as possible building client relationships and serving clients instead
Okay.
of having to do like all of this. Precision is a difficult thing to get with AI. And we're all constantly like building guardrails. We're constantly understanding the systems to make sure that we're able to audit what has gone wrong in the past and update that in our future versions. And we've been also registered investment advisors. So we publish our results. So it's always auditable and keeps us accountable on what we are actually serving to our clients.
Yeah, so I have this previous episode with Lynn. So she is CHRO, so most on the human resource experience, and she said that AI mostly is 80% people and 20% tech. So it's not a problem of the tech; it's a problem of the people. Is it also the same for you? Your operations is 80% human still, and then 20% AI. You know
I
the
think
ratio would be more.
as compared to human resource, which is completely client relationships and
Mm-hmm.
building those trust with the end client, we are proud to call ourselves an AI software company first.
Okay.
Again, our goal is that our advisor spends as much time as possible with the clients in all of their tasks and housekeeping and client documentation and notes generation and where does that actual advisory come from is completely automated. At the stage we're at, we're 70% automated and 30% human. And our goal is eventually to be as much automation as possible, not replacing the human relationship part.
Yeah, it's still, it's still there. The human will still there because as humans, we wanted connection, and that connection
Yeah.
will always be there. We wanted somebody that we can trust, and when we can feel, we can see their faces. You can see they're
Especially with
smiling.
money,
Yes,
especially
especially
with
when they
something
wanted to
as
see
close to our
someone, right?
heart as money.
Yeah, yeah, you wanted to see your face. So, what's an example of a moment where AI surfaced an insight that even surprised your human advisors?
I gave you an example around
Uh-huh.
the muni bonds, like
Okay.
California muni bonds, where surprisingly, we could just save $3,000 every year for most of our clients.
Mm-hmm.
While that information was always there, yes, muni bonds have always existed, and clients have always had their money in high yield savings account. Just marrying the two was something that was remarkable and highly surprising that AI put that out in front of us because you have a savings account with, your bank. You also
Mm-hmm.
might have it with like robo advisors like Wealthfront, and everything has like different APR, and you're never calculating the average APR on that and how much taxes you're paying because even that slab is different. But all of that automation happening through AI and then looking at your state and then coming up with yields of different bonds there and then presenting how this is an opportunity that we didn't even see coming was something that was transformational.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I really like is estimated taxes. Like
Okay.
we usually get like RSUs, and there's like a standard withholding, 22%, 24%. But the RSUs keep shifting, and the withholding is never correct. So we just
Mm-hmm.
like uploaded a W-2 which just said that, hey, this client needs to pay $30,000 extra. Otherwise, they'll have like payments penalty by April 15. That's
Mm.
something just by uploading a document, you could understand an automatic breakdown that, hey, I've this much I have paid already and this much something I owe because the stocks went up and I got a bonus. These are the things that you might miss. And AI for sure is like running down the clock. It doesn't.
It's really amazing what this AI is doing. So this one now is in the financial side. So that's why I'm very excited also to talk about this with you. And can you walk us through how Alfonso's AI analyzes millions of data points? What kinds of signals matters most?
We have like small MOEs which are looking at areas of expertise to come up with a ranking for each. We're looking at like 2 million data points daily, which is all the stocks in NYSE and NASDAQ through all their fundamentals and technicals. Like, hey, this company looks strong on the market sentiment side. What is its P by E ratio? What is its risk on returns ratio? How is the management strength looking like? And we combine all that to give a stock strength score. Like how good is this asset going to perform? And we do that for all the assets. But that's just like one part of it.
Mhm.
The most important part is when we plug that system into current portfolios. Like, hey, this is how much risk you can take. And doing this in these specific companies can be great. I'll give you an example. Like if you hold a lot of Meta stocks, which is a lot of employees working at Meta do. A lot of advisors will go in and tell you to sell that Meta stock and buy index
Mhm.
funds instead. It's not
Mhm.
personalized and it's very difficult to ask someone to sell everything and buy index funds instead. You have behavioral biases. And what we do is after selling Meta stock, we don't even tell you to buy Google stock because it's very similar to the other stock. We will find a stock that really diversifies your needs, and we eliminate the stocks that are too close together because fundamentally they're going to give you the same exposure as the other thing that you hold. So those are some nitpicks or nuances we're looking at in the financial industry to bubble up our AI thesis on what you should have in your portfolio versus not. Of course, keeping it tax aware.
Wow, that's very profound, way of looking at, investment portfolio. So especially now that you have all the data, Alfonso is really doing a great job when it comes to that. So for example, I'm a client and I have like, for example, some goals like weddings, homes, cars, or for example, vacations. How does Alfonso translate personal life milestone into investment strategy?
Yep. So you come in, you set up your goal, you tell us like where do you want to be and how soon you want to be there. Based on that, we will calculate your risk, your frequency of investments. We'll understand your personality on how old are you, what are your income sources, and is it a good time to put in a down payment for like a $1 million house, or is it something that you should do later on in the life? So all of these planning is the basic thing that we do, and then we look at tax aware investments. Like if you do this house purchase, is it a good thing to do on your 1031 exchange? Do you already hold a property? Or are there any itemized deductions that can be do? That's like the tax planning part of it. Once that basic is covered, then we look at specific investments. What do you hold currently? Which equity account do you want to put towards that goal? And what you should change in that, which stock to buy, to sell, at what frequency, to keep you aligned towards that goal. We also do a confidence score of how confident we are that you will reach that goal. And if something changes, like the goal goes down or up, and we're like, things are changing, the stock is not performing that way, or, you switched your job, you switched your countries, that confidence score is notified to the user. So to always keep them on track. Like this is how much you should be paying monthly towards, contributions to get towards that goal. And if you're not able to do that, then how do you change your plan eventually to still stay on track? So those are some things that we do to account for goal, and goals are very important because they keep you on track towards a specific milestone and direction.
I like it when you do this personalization. But for example, there is also the traditional wealth management. So what do you think traditional wealth management still gets wrong about personalization or customization of client wealth management?
I think a lot of them they get it right. Like I have my due respect for like smart wealth advisors. It's just the accessibility part that I am most worried about. The more you pay, the better advisor you get, the better quant team you're associated with, the more
Mm,
personalized your solutions are. And you end up
okay.
paying a lot. And to most of us, it's not accessible. To most of us, the type of advisory that we would get would be very reactive. Like call up your advisor and ask them, is that how it should be? It needs to be proactive. If there are problems in my portfolio, I should be informed about it and not go out to them to like, ask questions on how do I personalize and customize it. So there are strong systems built in. It's just that they are accessible to few. And that's also because we always needed a whole team full of quants to do that analysis and come back with that, results, that JP Morgan private client experience you only get when you're paying a huge premium to support that team. With AI, with machine learning, with data abundance, that is expected to change. You
Yeah.
can be really personalized, you can bring in custom solutions, you can bring proactive solutions and make it more accessible, not just to the ultra high net worth individuals, but also to the high net worth individuals, to the mass affluence. And that's a revolution that we want to be part of, and we want to make great advisory, personalized advisory accessible to everyone.
Yeah, that is also, that's why what I like about the AI revolution right now is it becomes an equalizer. Like, for example, for a small company like Alfonso, you can go head to head with JP Morgan or some
Yes.
other, consulting companies because you have the same data now. And then
Yes.
the analysis will always be there for you. It's depending how you analyze that, but the data is accessible. So it becomes an equalizer,
Yes.
no? So that the quality of data and the quality of the information that you get and you convey it to the clients, it will be very, very good as well. So there will be, there will be less friction between clients who understood what is Alfonso doing. So for example, how does Alfonso support people who feel intimidated by finances, or overwhelmed by planning?
I mean, we get you an advisor, we give you a platform, and we handhold you to making sure that you know more about your finances. The goal is never to take the control or take away the transparency. It's always the opposite. It's empowering, it's educating, it's making it much more transparent. So if you are shying away from your finances, the reason can usually be, which is something that I have always been that our education system does not incorporate taxes and finances in accounting the way they should in like high schools and colleges. So you have a lot of grown up adults actually scared about talking about money or thinking about planning. The way we are looking at things is empowering the end user and giving them control, telling them that it is possible and these are the gaps with these action items that can be solved. Like, that's the end goal. Everyone feels empowered and they don't like feel scared that, hey, I should give this money to this person and let them handle for me. No, you can think about it, be educated, understand the gaps, and really act upon it, which is the angle we are looking at for making wealth management much more accessible.
And you mentioned also about, if you, in the traditional wealth management, if you wanted, more premium services, you pay more. So in Alfonso, how does a flat fee structure change customer behavior or the outcomes compared to the traditional percentage-based model?
Yes. So in the traditional model, the most common model is a percentage AUM. So you transfer, if you want advisory on $1 million, you pay 1%, $10,000 to your advisor to manage that for you. Some also do a 220, wherein any success, you pay 20% of it and 2% for management. These are the two type of models that work between wealth management and hedge funds, something like in between these lines. The way we look at it is a flat fee subscription. So you come in and you know what you're paying for, no matter how much assets you want to manage with us. This has unlocked trust with the end user because they know that even if they manage their 401k or their IRA or their Roth accounts or their employer equity, they do not have to move that. It stays in the brokerage it is, and they don't pay extra. If you ask for a percentage AUM in the traditional model, people will only give you partial access to their wealth.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Okay.
don't ask for wealth, you ask for data, they give you 100%. This makes your advisory much more powerful, much more comprehensive, and a lens that unlocks a lot of things, optimizations that can be done on wealth, which is not possible if you keep charging them a percentage. People won't be managing their 401, like a lot of their accounts with you, and we help with like spouse accounts as well. So you and your family can have all of your wealth managed on Alfonso and not pay a percentage AUM of all of those assets.
Nice, nice. So it's a way of, like making it accessible to the masses. So that's what Alfonso is doing. So how do you think will that affect your company in terms of financial stability in the long term? Or do you see that, the data that you are gathering for a flat fee will be more valuable in the long term?
See, Julius, what I have learned working with our clients is that they are fee aware, but they're not fee
Okay.
averse. They want transparency. They want to know what they're paying for, and they will pay a premium for great
Mm-hmm.
service. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like they don't want to pay. It's just that they feel cheated when they're
Mm-hmm.
asked, when the money automatically deduct from their account and they don't
Uh-huh.
know what they paid for. With us, if you need estate planning, you have a clear add-on. You do that and we'll plan your estate for you. We're fiduciary. We will not take commission out of it. We will work in your best interest. And you will choose a level of subscription that you know that works best for you.
Okay.
Things change and you have that trust with the client that you're transparent about your fee, you understand what you're paying for, and you hesitate less. It's not about not surviving a business because we are charging less. Our clients would
Mm-hmm.
happily pay for much more services if they need them because they know what they're going for and they get the best in class service.
Yeah. So in terms now on the technology side that you have discussed a while ago, so what's the most exciting piece of technology you're currently building inside Alfonso?
I think our machine learning models, those are some things that we have spent like multiple years building. So as a platform is fresh, new presentation to the clients, but the models have existed for more than 3 years now. And the way we think about the market, as I told you about the stock ranking system, the embeddings, is fundamentally different than what others do. And this has helped us really connect with our clients actually, because we're not looking at just index funds. We're doing really sophisticated advisory by looking at individual stocks. So, which stock can be replaced and not just index funds where you can control more of the risk and returns ratio is a complicated problem to solve that I think AI and data and using our own proprietary machine learning models has enabled us to do.
How do you ensure that your machine learning models stay up to date with the market with the volatility and the evolving financial trends?
We have access to best in class resources of data, and we're working with like the MIT PhDs and people from Microsoft and experience in this space to make sure that they are updated. And we also have advisor human in the loop. Like our team is literally people from tech and people from advisory space, so that balance really helps in keeping us on check, interpreting each market signal and how to convert that into a binary and make decisions for wealth is something that we strive to develop as we grow.
You know that the technology now is very fast evolving.
Yeah.
So whatever we do now, for example, for this month or next year, in 2 months, it will be outdated already. So for the emergent technologies, what do you think will reshape personal finance over the next 5 years?
Again, some things that stay constant is your client understanding. How well do you understand the needs of your clients who you're trying to build this for? Technology is an enabler, and the way you use technology will change the way you execute, the way you win, the way you grow. But the fundamental of what you build will be shaped by understanding. For us, for example, if we are doing wealth management, we really need to understand the wealthy and we really need to understand the wealth, how it's coming, how it's being used, how it's being thought about, and what needs to be done. Those are the cores that we stick to. And we use AI to power our research around it. We use AI to execute as fast as possible. And we use AI to provide a delightful user experience. But the core remains the same.
Yeah, yeah. So for our viewers, because we've been talking about a lot of the finances, wealth management. So I'd like them to to visualize, what is a client of an Alfonso. So is there a client story without revealing the identity that really captures what Alfonso is all about? So our viewers and listeners will envision that.
For us, it could be a client working in Amazon, for example. Amazon has RSUs. You get equity in your account, and it's backloaded. So the first year you get 10%, then you get 20%, then you get 30%, then you get 40, something like that. So the RSU withholding, the taxes remain the same throughout. Usually, we have a lot of like people in their third, fourth year of Amazon, like suddenly hit by a huge amount of tax penalty during
Mm-hmm.
April 15. So one
Okay.
of these clients, they had like $1 million portfolio, and we were able to, believe it or not, save $120,000 for them using
Wow.
tax loss harvesting, direct indexing, and that's just tax savings. It's not about returns. And these
Oh my
are
God.
investments in the right way. So you're doing tax loss harvesting without changing your exposure in S&P 500. Bogglehead, which we convinced to start doing direct indexing, and we managed their portfolio for them automatically, took off the tax burden, had them invest in Roth. Backdoor Roth and Mega Backdoor Roth, which they were not aware that their company 401k supported. So just this basic planning of like not being able to know what's possible with your money transformed the way
It's
they think about money.
amazing. It's amazing.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's a really good story. So now our
And
viewers
that
will
client
will be
ended up
excited
becoming
now to join Alfonso.
for sure. And that
Yeah,
client
yeah.
ended up becoming a champion. Like they were a skeptic that, hey, I don't need wealth management. My money is like really simple. I'm a bogglehead and I just get money from my RSU. And that client ended up becoming a champion who goes about and talks about Alfonso in their company circles, review circles to tell people how important financial planning is. These millennials have like this inherited distrust, this hatred towards wealth management because they've always seen wealth management as like they will charge me something that I don't want to pay
Yes,
for.
yes, yes. I
And
understand
they
that.
come to understand how important it can be to know how tax rules are changing and how market is changing and having someone take a look at it and help you. How transformational can that be?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you have the family or individual account. So, just as hypothetically, for example, how do you approach financial planning differently for families versus the individuals? Or do you have something like that right now?
Yeah, yeah. We right now we have individual and family, as in like partner accounts. So you can like a lot of like married clients, they manage their wealth together. They look at you know planning or future outlooks as a couple. So we have, for example, a client who were both working in big tech companies and then converted, and then they started their own company. They actually are co-founders and also like married to each other. So
Mm-hmm.
the way their finances changed was fundamentally different because no longer RSUs. It's more about options and capital preservation, and their focus shifted to company building. We look at it together. You can have different scenarios. One person a founder, another person working in tech, one person a teacher in like a government facility versus another one working in as a founder or like in medical domain. The way you look at wealth together again are different buckets, but the plan remains the same. So the where you're heading remains the same. Those are the two we have started supporting, but we plan to do family accounts too. So you can do your children's account also managed on the same platform. You can think about transferring wealth to your next generation without incurring a lot of wealth tax estate planning. So that's also something we plan to do in the future.
Nice. So you envision a world where financial success is possible for everyone. So what groups are most underserved today, and how is Alfonso reaching them?
I think the underserved groups remain the mass affluents, the masses of the world, because organized and organized still had access to some sort of wealth advisory. Sometimes your father's advisor, or at other times, advisor you got through your firm, who you can like call up and ask questions. But the mass affluents, like generally, people have refused wealth advisory if you don't have 500K or 250K net worth in your account, which is
Mm-hmm.
absurd. At the moment, yes, we are focusing on HNIs because
Mm-hmm.
we feel their needs are the most complicated. And once you fix that, then you have unlocked a template or a system and understanding of how wealth works. But the most underserved market remains the mass affluence of the world, wherein they need basic planning, access to refinancing, understanding credit score, their debt repayments. All of that is a problem, a huge problem that needs solving.
Yeah, so we are coming from a different part of the world. So there's a Western world. So if Alfonso, for example, once Alfonso scaled globally, how do you adapt the AI to different cultures and financial habits? Like, for example, there is Islamic banking laws, and then we have some, the Indian and then the Asian, Southeast Asian, mentality when it comes to financial management, and of course the Western are also different. So how would you adapt your model to different cultures, for example religious
Yep.
beliefs and financial habits?
Yep. And I think the first step, as in the US market, and would be understanding through a human the entire system. Like, for example, we started with New York and we were like really focused on clients in New York and moved to San Francisco now. Now we're serving clients in California. And while the differences are less different than they would be across border, but we still learn a lot, like the way taxes work in California versus New York, the way there are rebates, the way there are people thinking about tech versus finance, like ideology. All of this is slightly different as we move these states. And I'm sure as we move countries, we will need to first understand the system, behaviors, beliefs, preferences, the market rules, tax rules, and how government looks at rebates and investments. Once we have that system done, and which is still like, the research part enabled with AI is still done by a human, we can modulate our models to look at different sort of fundamentals different sort of technicals, and their weightage also becomes different based on which country we're operating in. And maybe we need to introduce new sort of parameters, like you said, religious sentiments or the way people are thinking about wealth. In my country, back in India, the way we think about gold investments, for example, is
Mm-hmm.
fundamentally different than what we think about in the US. So, how do you, first of all, spend your time in research and understanding that country? Again, going to the basics, like understanding the wealth concept there and the wealthy concept there, and incorporating that in the model will be the first step. But yeah, I mean, like that's something in the future we would be looking into doing. First of all, finding countries that are fundamentally similar as US, so our learning is fast as much as possible, but then expanding globally. At the moment, we are focusing on California and New York or anywhere in
Definitely.
the US.
Okay. Do you envision to go next to Europe or any other region?
Too hard to say at this stage. I think it will be something very adjacent as Canada, but too hard to say. We're like really in the nascent stages of development.
Okay. So as the founder of one of the co-founders of Alfonso, what has been the toughest mindset shift in building an AI powered fintech?
Mind shift from what I was doing earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, some things have stayed same, some things have completely changed. AI was still being used to debug difficult, complex, chaotic systems. It still is. One thing that I have come to understand is that money is one of the most important thing for people, and they don't want
Mm-hmm.
to talk about it to anyone. There's like a lot of behavior bias and taboo associated, even though we are in San Francisco where people are like, talking about equity and RSUs more freely. But there's still like a taboo wherein you only let in someone into your wealth data once you completely trust them. That's a mindset shift as compared to like databases and queues and libraries that I was working with earlier. Dealing with money, trust has become a core foundation of wealth management, and gaining relationships with your client is the best way to win them over and keep them generation over generations with them. So that has been a shift that I've learned to embrace over time.
Okay. So what are you doing today that you believe future fintech founders will consider standard practice?
I think a one banking system, Plaid has really laid the foundation of bringing it all together. The way money works is very personal and lives in different type of accounts, different type of styles with different type of goals, and they need to be looked at together. If you are a one stop wealth system wherein people trust you, whether it's their business accounting or their money or their personal finance or bookkeeping, one stop wealth systems where I can visualize it all and take decisions and get advisory on it is the future. Whoever has more data, whoever has more holistic view of their clients' wealth, assets, money, preferences is going to be the winner in the space.
So 10 years from now, since we are talking about wealth management and then AI tech, so will there be an AI wealth manager in the future? Do you think it's going to
I
be a
think yes.
standard?
And there's no will. I think there is. There are wealth managers out there. People are starting to use ChatGPT as a shrink to a therapist to a wealth manager. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. People have started trusting AI much more than before. If
Okay.
you were to become an AI wealth manager, there still needs to be a human in the loop to keep that
Mm-hmm.
relationship intact, alive, and a relationship that grows over generation. But more and more decisions, more and more trust towards AI is only going to grow.
Nice. So if you had to predict one major shift coming to personal finance because of AI, what would it be?
Less documentation and more digitalized data. Taxes have been a problem for generations now. They're complicated, they're scrappy, they are disliked by everyone. Your documents live everywhere, and uploading them, thinking about them, understanding is a very complicated thing that you don't want to do. That's something I think that's going to change fundamentally with AI, because document parsing and understanding data is something LLMs do really well, and they are penetrating deep. within in the personal finance space.
Yeah, so you mentioned about data. So how do you handle, the data integrity of, or there's a personal information of your clients that we should be intact?
Yeah, I think that's it's very important that you ask that, because guardrails and auditing and logging and doing feedbacks and keeping a human in the loop is going to be very important in this industry, because again, wealth is sacred, and you want to make sure that your LLMs are not hallucinating, your models are not predicting something that the client shouldn't do, and you stay true to your fiduciary responsibility. Hence, the way we look at data is like, fundamentally, when we get data in, we have strong audit systems where everything is logged and audited and available. That's also important for any wealth advisory firm for that matter, because the government regulates this industry, and any regulated industry needs to have auditing systems, logs, and definitions that they can share with A, their clients, and B, auditing agencies, to make sure that they are doing the right thing. And as fiduciaries, that's something that we take really deeply and very importantly, and make sure that we always adhere to it.
Okay, so we were talking about earlier about, our background when it comes to finance when we were kids. So for example, in India, in my country as well, we are more cash people. So if you could give one piece of financial advice to your 20-year-old self, what would it be?
I think I would have started learning about investments a lot earlier than I did. I mean, like, I was not exposed to it when I was in school growing up, and money continued to be a topic. A, very less talked about it. B, even more protected from women. So the
Yeah,
more
yeah.
I see,
Yeah, yeah.
the
I
more I
understand
see, and
this.
the more I talk
Yes.
about it, I wish I knew more, because I did not know a lot. There was a long time where I felt very scared taking decisions about my own money, and I would like let it be, like, whatever it is, let it be. And I was just focusing on working and making more money. But financial planning and understanding what's going on in your accounts is so important that it hits me hard now, and that I didn't start learning about it earlier.
Yeah, it's similar to me because, like for me, in a typical Filipino family, we are very protected and supported by the family. They give
Yes.
you everything, they're pampered. So when you were in school, they just prepare everything and they just give you money, and then they don't tell you, if you consume all those money, they just give you another set of money. So it
Yes.
also is a very interesting now and very good generation to have, that they have these tools. Like for example, they have this platform Alfonso, they have ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude that they can just go to,
And
because
learn,
and
like,
learn
be
from it. And
empowered.
they, yeah, and imagine that the same guys from JP Morgan and somebody 14-year-old, from maybe in North Korea, if they have this access of internet, they will be able to have the same information, right? So it's a very good time now to be able to be, financially literate and build their wealth, starting from a young age, because I didn't have the same, I didn't have the same upbringing as like you. And then when they started to talk about stocks, what is this? What is stock? Because
Yeah.
most of us, yeah, the investment for us is real estate. You mentioned about gold, and cash is still king. You know, we have, and then, if, for example, my grandfather is also not, they are not trusting the banks. They wanted to have their own vault inside their house to protect their cash. And
Yep.
that is one thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still
Yeah.
existing in India,
Yeah.
but in the Philippines, it's still, the
Yep.
cash. Yeah, the old people, they
Yep.
said they'll still have this cash. So it's very important that we give this platform like Alfonso to the new generations, especially the millennial ones. I hope the next generation will also, copy what are the millennials are doing now. So it's very, whatever you shared here is very important to me as well. I learned a lot from you. And before we end this, I wanted to go to our 10x, fire fast round, and
Yes.
I'll ask you 10 questions about AI and how you you, know,
Woohoo.
you use it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Number one, what's one AI tool you actually use every day?
I think that would be something that sits in my email. Like I use Superhuman, for example. I can
Mm-hmm.
just talk to it. It knows my tone. It will change that and send that email. Like I'm heavy on email because of a lot of communication that's
Really?
happening.
Really?
Yeah, and that's something that I use. I'm guilty of using, relying on it too much.
And yeah, okay, okay. That's good. That's a good, recommendation. So what's one task AI has already 10x in your life?
Well, so I'm a product manager, and every product manager will resonate with me that most of our time, 70% of our time, are spent on client calls,
Mm-hmm.
talking to people and
Mm-hmm.
learning about their insights. And
Mm-hmm.
a major problem that I had in life, which AI has like literally blessed my life with, is the AI notes that come in after the call. So it doesn't just like do simple notes on the meetings that I've done, but also like helps me with client research so much that I'm talking to so many people and I'm going to conferences and stuff. And how do I account for all the conversations and how do I keep up with follow-ups and how do I formulate my research for next product building? That's something AI has definitely next my life. So I can do what I
Wow.
really do well. Yeah.
AI is really amazing. So what's human skill AI can never replace?
I think as we talked about relationships, that
Okay.
emotional safety you feel by talking to someone whose face you can see and like, tell them about money, especially in industries like wealth management, trust and emotional safety and these human relationships will continue to stay.
Okay. That's a good point. If you could automate one annoying thing forever, what would it be?
I think no more documents for taxation. Every time it's April and you have to fill in all the documents and like upload, it's a
Uh-huh.
nightmare. I remember I had to like take 2 days off from work
Really?
the year that there was like this one year when I was like in India and in Paris and in US and I was like supposed to pay taxes everywhere and I had to like
Mhm.
take 2 days off from work just to upload those documents
Oh
and
my
get it
god.
done. So I wish it's very hard, I think, and every government has different rules. So I wish that's something that can be automated forever.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the biggest misconception about AI right now?
I see people scared of AI. See people scared of AI taking their jobs, AI replacing them. But more and more we learn about AI applications, we realize that it's not like going to replace someone. It's more like going to augment the other person. So, like, whatever you're doing can be 10x if you use AI correctly. Like Google search is not something that replaced books altogether, or like iPhone did not replace softwares altogether because they introduced apps. They just made it more accessible and knowledge more transformational. And I think the same would be with AI that you will be able to execute faster and be able to augment your skills and focus on what you really do well instead of being replaced.
Okay. So I think this next question is related to that. So what advice would you give someone who wants to become 10x of himself or herself starting today?
I think, like, first of all, need to shed the fear. Like, sometimes you feel that I don't know AI, and that's why it's very difficult to get started. The first thing is observe, you know, just look at what you're doing every day, every hour, every week. And of that, what is it that's most repeated task that you do again and again? And start with like a small experiment. Like, just take up one task. Don't chase models, just pick one and one task and try to replace that. Like, hey, what if this is completely done with this agent or completely done with this chatbot? How much does that help? And try fine tuning that. How do you improve the results? How do you make sure that you're less and less involved? And once you really crack that one task that you have automated and was taking a lot of time on your day schedule, then you really learn it. And that's how you build a template to 10x your life with AI.
So what would you tell your younger self about the future of AI?
Yeah, I mean, so I actually studied AI in my undergrad, and that's like back in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we did not take it as seriously as the way it has transformed industries. I think if I were to go back and tell my younger self, it will be like about compounding skills that are more important than linear careers, right? Like things will get complex and you don't need to have a single handed career and build your skills around it. You need to have skill set that can be more, jack of all trades. And you can
Mm-hmm.
learn at different aspects of a business and how they work. Because if you are like too deep and too linear and doing the same thing, then things can get automated and you will feel more scared, is I think what I've learned.
Yeah, so that is also that when I was younger, when I was starting, I realized that too. When I'm in a company, I work, my first job is in Japan. So I was a failure analysis engineer when I started. And then when I graduated, I thought I was a very good engineer. And then when I joined the company, there's so many good engineers out there in my team. And then I realized if there's one position for one of us in any company, I don't think I'm going to beat these guys. That's
Yeah.
what I felt during that time. So I
Yeah.
decided, okay, what are the industries, like, because I'm chemistry background, what are the industries that I can use my
Yep.
skills in failure analysis but still
Yep.
use my chemistry background into other industries. So I decided early on that I'm going to be, like what you said, a generalist. So I think I already thought that's the future because I can shift from
Yep.
food manufacturing, I can move to oil and gas,
Yep.
I can move to testing. And then recently, 2 years ago, I started using AI too, some Python. So I would like to understand that because I knew in the future that any industry will be disrupted, even, laboratories, quality, and all this. So I wanted to understand that right now so that I will be ahead of the pack. And I
Yep.
think the future of the AI now is more on the how you AI leadership is how you collaborate with different people. It's not like just your only product manager know you. It's not like
Yep.
that anymore. You have to
Yep.
understand, from the AI standpoint. You have to have that, overview, bird's eye view
Yep. Yep.
from start to finish to be able to succeed now. And that is also good because before you have to be very, very good with coding, right? You have to memorize everything. You have to be very technically skilled. But right now, you just have to understand what is the
Yeah.
problem and what you're trying to solve and
Yes.
what is the goal. And that is one thing that people don't understand, that AI will be a tool or your partner in solving
Yep.
those problems. So I
Yep.
think it's those perspectives should be known to people, because I think the media is also hyping that, oh, all these people are being laid off and blah 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 and all this. So people, oh my god, I'm going to be laid off. So, and that is very profound experience for many people who were laid off because
Yeah.
of AI. And
Yep.
one of the podcasts that I had, she's a founder also. She works for actually she's from works from Google and Amazon. She was also fired. She was also laid off. And one of the things that she found out is that why these companies are laying off is not because, it's not because they don't want the people. It's because AI is too expensive. It's the other way
Yep.
around. It's the other way.
Yeah.
Since AI is very expensive, we need to lay off people. It's not that we want to lay off people. It's the other way. And
Yeah.
it's very
That's
enlightening when
very
he
insightful.
yeah,
Yeah.
enlightening one when she told about it. So that's why we have to, our viewers and listeners, we have to understand that, AI will just improve ourselves when we use that
Yep.
the right way.
Yep.
Okay, so next question. What's one book, podcast, or resource that shaped your thinking about AI or innovation?
As a product person, I have always been a fan of Lenny. Lenny's podcasts, his
Mm-hmm.
books are something that have inspired me, and they have also kept me updated on how to use AI in a way that actually transforms the way you work in product management or how the industry is progressing. So that will definitely be my recommendation if you're in product space. Definitely follow Lenny and go over his podcast so you keep yourself updated in the industry.
Okay. If you had to bet on one AI trend that will be massive in 3 years, what is it?
As we talked about wealth management with I think other vertical AI co-pilots will come up. Right now, we're seeing a surface level implementation of AI with a lot of chatbots and a lot of like search structured systems or people just building agents and infra for agents. But the real application or the real transformation will be when you solve it for a vertical industry. You completely change the way that domain works with real responsibility and not just like general chatbots. I think that will be massive.
So, in one sentence, what does 10x mean to you personally?
I think I have always tried to explore my best potential and to be able to do Next is being able to spend next of my time in doing something that only I can do, and everything rest is handled. Something that only I can think about, or idea generations, or client relationships, or user research. Whatever I am best at, if I am spending all of my time on that, then my life is 10x. Everything else at some point should be like Priyanshi GPT handled through something else.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice perspective about it. So thank you, Fred. That was, our rapid 10x round. So before we end this podcast, I'd like to thank you for all the insights and then industry insights that you have shared with us. And I hope our viewers and listeners learned from you a lot when it comes to how is Alfonso, changing the way wealth management is being done in the industry. And if the viewers or listeners would like to contact you or ask you about more about your products, how would they reach you?
My DMs on LinkedIn are always open. In general, if you want to learn more about Alfonso, share your product insights, give me feedback on what we are building, very happy to take that up. You can always also reach out to me on Priyanshi at alphanso.ai. That's ALPHANSO.ai. And thank you, Julius, for doing this. It was wonderful chatting with you, and so many great questions that helped me open up and rethink about wealth management, AI in the industry. You're doing a really good job. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much, because I'm very interested in this space too. That's why I wanted to invite you, because I know you will help a lot of people, a lot of, normal people who wanted to go into that wealth management. And those people who have this, doesn't have the opportunity because what you said, they're charged too much. People say, no, they will charge too much. But your Alfonso will open up a lot of opportunities for normal people like me, or somebody who is listening now, or who is watching this podcast. And for that, I really thank you for bringing Alfonso to life. So I will check out Alfonso too, because of you.
For sure,
Whatever
please
you,
do.
yeah, for sure, yeah, I'll give you
And would
some
love your
feedback.
feedback.
Yeah, I'll give you the feedback, and that's why I ask you about the dashboard. And lastly, I'd like to tell my viewers and listeners that please, don't forget to plan your finances. Don't be like Priyansha and me. We were too late in the game. So if you're listening, if you're in your 20s right now, take advantage of Alfonso. It will make a lot of difference in the long run. Again, thank you very much for listening.